Hello, welcome back to my world of stuff. It's time for a physical media update. It's been a couple of weeks since the last one, and I picked up a few new bits and pieces. I think we've got 7 discs, 4Ks and Blu-Rays, and a couple of the usual bits and pieces, magazine-y things, and odds and sods and collectibles. So let's crack on with my physical media update for this week. Right, yeah, as I said, a few bits and pieces. I'll leave the Blu-rays and things to the end, because I think a lot of people are interested in stuff like that, and I'll drag you along through the rest of the stuff. Not that there's a lot of it, just a few bits and pieces I picked up on the way out and about, and various things I've picked up online. Shout out to a friend of mine, Mr. Ian Lewis in Port Talbot, who's always trawling the shops and the charity shops in Port Talbot looking for things that might be of interest to me, and he had a bit of success a couple of weeks ago. In fact, he's had a bit more success, but that'll be for the next episode. 3 things he managed to find for me. The first of them is a really nice retro piece for fans of classic TV and classic Gerry Anderson. A little model of Thunderbird 4, the classic Thunderbird 4 from the 1960s TV series by Gerry Anderson. This cost 99p. Really nice little figure. I remember back in the day in the 1960s, I was a big fan of Thunderbird 4. I've always supported the underdog, and Thunderbird 4, being the smallest of the ships in the Thunderbird fleet, was the one that I rooted for, because it never got out that much. You always saw the big rockets, Thunderbird 1, Thunderbird 2, the big loading equipment, and Thunderbird 3, the spaceship, but you didn't often see Thunderbird 4. And I like Thunderbird 4. It's a nice yellow livery. It's actually, the design is rather similar to Sky 1 and Skydiver in UFO. But hey, if you've got a good design, why not reuse it? So that's a nice little thing which is going to go on the shelf somewhere. He also picked up these rather odd things. I think they're about $1.49. They're 4 coasters, 4 drinks coasters, based on Superman. Various images from classic Superman comics. They were brand new, sealed in a packet, and I'll bung them on the table somewhere. I've got loads of these. I've got Jurassic Park ones. I've got Doctor Who ones. But they're always nice to have, and these were just, you know, nice little classic imagery from old Superman adventure comics, and they're rather nice little things. I think you'll agree. That's my Superman coaster set. He also picked up a comic for me. He's, you know, he knows what I'm interested in, classic comics, not so much modern stuff. So if he sees anything old, he'll always let me know. I did miss out on a batch of old classic DC stuff from, I think, the late 60s and 70s last week. He was sort of ringing me up to talk to me about them, and by the time we got back to the shop, they're gone, unfortunately. But I did manage to get a copy of Web of Spider-Man number 70, which comes from November 1990. Yeah, 1990. A big fan of Spider-Man. I love the original Spider-Man comics. Again, not so much now because it's spread out to so many different reinventions and so on. But this is a nice little tale, which I read, and it's actually quite amusing. It's written by Jerry Conway, or the idea is from Jerry Conway, the script by David Micheline. And it's quite a naive sort of comic, in a way, quite an old-fashioned comic, where Spider-Man finds himself zapped by gamma radiation, which has been emitted from the Hulk, and he turns into Spider-Hulk, only for 1 issue. It's very silly, very, I mean, bearing in mind this is 1990, it's a very 1960s style story, but it's quite nicely illustrated. The art is, if I can find a spread that I've got of adverts, it's got the sort of comic strip art, which I really like. I don't do the modern comics with their fancy pseudo-adult artwork. I just like the classic style, and I really enjoyed reading that. It was good fun. Only one other bookie type thing. This is something that appeared on my, just browsing through Amazon, it cropped up. It's basically it's a fanzine, but it's quite a well-produced fanzine called Paperback Fanatic. It's obviously been around for quite a while. I've never heard of it before. And it seems to be, I'm trying to find who edits it to give him credit, Justin Marriott. Copy edited and proofread by Tom Tesarek. And this is an issue which looks back to classic paperbacks of the 70s, sort of lurid horror thrillers like the Guy N. Smith books, which I always remember reading, things like Crabs on the Rampage and so on. Don't go there. And various other sorts of disaster paperbacks. Yeah, and there's a particular section on Plague Chronicles. I remember books like, I remember reading Plague by Graham Masterson. There's other things, Night Plague, and of course, you know, in a world where we've just gone through a pandemic type thing, it's really interesting to read about literatures, lurid literatures, look back at that sort of thing. And it's I mean, it's well put together. It is a fan magazine, but it's got lots of nice images, colour images of some of these old books. It just came up on Facebook. I think it's about £6-7. I haven't had a chance to look at it properly yet, but it looks like an interesting read. I used to love the sort of the horror boom of the 70s when you had books like that Plague Pit, Rabid, The Brain Eaters. I think I remember reading The Brain Eaters. Such a great taste in literature. Yeah, so I'm quite looking forward to having a read through that. Looks like fun. I have also a collectible figure. This might be of interest to you because some of you may be on the hunt for this at the moment or waiting to get your hands on it. As you know, the Eaglemoss Doctor Who figure collection I was quite keen on, even though it went on a little bit too long, but they did, you know, classic reproductions of classic Doctor Who creatures. As a long-time Doctor Who fan, it's just amazing to have got, you know, accurate representations of things like the Zarbi, the Monoids, and the Mechanoids from the 1960s. Things I never thought I'd have. What I like about them is that they're not toys. They're not these bendy sort of things. They're the actual sort of figurines. You know, you've seen this sort of things. They've got all over the place. And I like them because they're not clearly not toys. They're collectibles and displayables. Eaglemoss went out of business last year, but they had a number of other figures that they'd made that were locked away in their stores in China, I think, and they've only just now making their way over to the UK. I think there's about 4 or 5 figures that were never released because Eaglemoss went bust, but they'd made a lot of them. Anyway, the first one that I picked up is Carvanista, who you may recall was from Flux, the short 6-part serial that comprised Doctor Who season 13 a couple of years ago, pandemic era series. This is a lovely look. This is that peculiar sort of alien dog warrior which spoke in the northern accent. It's very amusing. That took a bit of a shine to Dan, played by John Bishop. This is the latest figure that's arrived today. It's 216 in the collection. And I'm going to unbox it because I haven't actually taken it out of its wrapping yet. I know some of you might be wondering what it looks like. You've probably seen the pictures and so on. So we shall unbox this little baby as usual. Takes me back to the days of the Eaglemoss monthly deliveries of figures that were wrapped up in these plastic things. This is, yeah, it's nicely put together. I'll just get it out of its wrapping eventually. There's a couple more on the way. I think there's a Movellen from 1979's Destiny of the Daleks. I think we've got Bellal from Death to the Daleks in 1974. And I think, I did see a reference to, I think there's the Strax, is it the Sontaran, who was in, was also in the Flux story, War of the Sontarans. I think he's around. There's also larger, more expensive models. Sorry, I'm still trying to get this off. The Cleaner Robot from Paradise Towers, and the 10th Doctor's console, which I probably will get at some point, but they are a bit pricey at the moment. Anyway, here we are. Here's Carvanista in all his resin glory. Lovely little figure, really nice, colourful. Got all the sort of turquoisey colours of his costume. He's carrying his axe. And of course, his lovely little dog face. So that's available now. You can pick that up from the Sci-Fi Collector online and also in branches of the television and film store. I know there's one in Cardiff, St Albans, I think it is. There's a few around the country. Have a look where they are. They sell a lot of TV and sci-fi merchandise. They're stocking these there. So if you want one of those, I don't think they're difficult to get hold of at the moment, but they're going to be difficult. So if you want one, $14.99, which is pretty much the price that we were paying when they were in the magazine. Just get the box that way. So there we are. That's all the collectibles and books and things. Now on to the proper physical media that I know you're interested in, all the DVDs and Blu-rays and so on. Right, as I said, I've got 7 titles I've picked up. The first one is Bram Stoker's Dracula. Now, this isn't subscriber mail, because I don't go along with all that sort of stuff, but this was sent by a friend of mine, Sean Alexander, up in Anglesey. Thank you, Sean. He sent me this because I sent him, I discovered a spare copy of Poltergeist, which he didn't have on Blu-ray. So I sent him that. He was having to clear out, and he sent me his Steelbook Blu-ray of Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula. This is the one with Gary Oldman, Keanu Reeves, Anthony Hopkins, and so on. I haven't seen this for years. Very nice little slipbook. It hasn't got the J-card, but I'm not too bothered to put that. It's a nice atmospheric J-card. I think I seem to remember Gary Oldman's performance is a little ripe in this film, but it'll be quite fun to see it again. Thank you, Sean, for that one. Couple of pickups from CEX. I did mention, I think, that I got a voucher for about 50 quid, I think, from a few things that I took to CEX a few weeks back. So I'm sort of working my way through it slowly but surely. And I went to the local CEX fairly recently. Slightly frustrated my local CEX because 4Ks, I think I've mentioned before, 4Ks are just jammed in the middle of everything. So if you're looking for 4Ks, you've got to look through everything on the shelves. Guess who's arrived? Causing chaos. You're a little swine. Yes, Madam Monsieur. Say hello to your fans. Nope, she's off. Anyway, so yeah, you've got to look through everything to find what you're looking for. I understand from a business point of view, you're making people look at all your stock rather than specific things, but it's a bit annoying. But anyway, I did pick up a few odds and sods, which I'm pleased to get into the collection. This is called The Sound of Metal. This dates back to 2020, stars Riz Ahmed and Olivia Cook. And it's supposed to be a very good film, and it's one I've meant to watch, but I haven't got around to looking at yet. It's the story of Ruben, played by Riz Ahmed, and Lou, Olivia Cook. They live together. They're two nomads travelling gig to gig on an endless American tour. Their music is loud, frenzied and passionate until one day Rudan is overwhelmed by severe ringing in his ears, which quickly gives way to deafness. So it's the story of somebody who lives for music, who has lost his ability to hear and play music. It's supposed to be very, devastating and hopeful in the same breath, according to Little White Lies, and who am I to argue with them? Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching this, because I've heard it is very good. I don't think there's any special features on this disc, and the film itself runs for 2 hours. So yeah, that's something I will take a look at some point. Sound of Metal, I think this was about £2.50 in CEX. This was about £1.50, I think, and I know this was in Poundland when they were doing their final sale of cheap Blu-rays and things. Pick this up because I think it's about £1. And it's Non-Stop. It's one of Liam Neeson's generic action thrillers. An intense and powerful ride. Not entirely sure about that, but it's quite good fun. Liam Neeson is of course, he's a US federal air marshal. He's washed up. He's a former cop struggling to deal with his violent past and wrought with self-doubt. On a routine flight from New York to London, he receives a threatening text message from an unknown caller ordering him to deposit $150 million into a secret account, or a passenger will be killed every 20 minutes. So, yeah, you know what you're going to get. I have seen it before. It's one when you feel I'm too knackered to watch anything thought-provoking or demanding. I'll just put something stupid on. And that's Non-Stop with old Liam. Yeah, next one up from CEX. I think this was £8. I've been meaning to sort of pick this up for ages because it's very silly. It's called The Meg. This came out, well, I'm thinking several years ago. 2018, there we are. The Meg, starring Jason Statham. Basically, it's Jason Statham fighting a giant prehistoric megalosaurus. Jaws with a bigger fish. It's a silly film, it's a stupid film, but I quite enjoyed it for what it is. It's a bit of fun, it's a monster movie, I always like a monster movie. And there's a sequel coming out later this year, I think, directed by our own Ben Wheatley, so I'll be interested to see how that turns out. This is the 4K disc, I think it was possibly £8, as I say, came off my voucher. Didn't cost me nothing, Gav. So yeah, that's quite a nice one to have, and it'll look good in 4K, I would imagine. 3 to go, these ones I bought online. There's a bit of a sale on Inzavi. There's always sales on Inzavi. They're always offering discounts on this and discounts on that. I picked this up. They're doing a range of Bond Blu-rays on 4K. Sorry, on 4K. On Blu-ray, on Steelbook. And I've been tempted to get them, but Bond's... there's been so many different Bond editions, but they've all been sort of $17.99. But this last week, they had a selection of them reduced to $12.99. And I picked up one of my favourites. Now, this might be controversial because I know this film doesn't get a lot of love, and it should. It's... Pierce Brosnan's second Bond outing, Tomorrow Never Dies. This is the one with Jonathan Pryce as media mogul Carver. I was going to call him Jim Carver, but that was the character from the bill. I can't remember his first name, but Carver. I really like this. This is sort of classic Bond, and the set pieces in this are still pretty astonishing. There's some great car chases, great punch-ups, good stunts. And I don't know why people don't think more of it. I think it needs to be re-evaluated in the Bond oeuvre. And I remember when this came out, I think I saw this in the cinema about 3 times. And I've watched it several times since on various physical media. It's just a good film, so I don't know why it doesn't get more love. I just packaged it. You see a nice steelbook there. It's got the J card. And I imagine... I'm not going to open No, it's just a normal blue Blu-ray in there. So it's a nice steelbook edition, which I'm pleased to have. I also picked up, reduced to a tenner, on Amazon, and I think it's a tenner in CEX and places like that. You could probably get it generally for tenner, but I thought I'd pick it up because I did like it. It's Smile, which came out, was that early this year or late last year? Time passes so quickly. Very nice, very unusual sort of horror film, starring Sosie Bacon as Rose Cotter, who's the latest to come under the thrall of a sinister, what would you call it? A sinister curse. Yeah, it's very good, very creepy, and I did enjoy it at the cinema. And I haven't taken the wrapping off this yet, which I will do now before I file it away in my shelf. Yeah, I have enjoyed quite a few of these sort of unusual, low-budgetish horror films we've had lately. Really hello, Rosie. I really enjoyed Megan, and I think I'm pretty sure there is a review of Smile back on the channel from last year. If I go back and have a look at it. Smile, just a standard Blu-ray disc inside, but that's fine. That's fine. I'm pleased to have that. This next one I'm very pleased to get. This came out ages ago. The film itself dates back to 1993, and it's directed by the late Tony Scott. Stars Christian Slater, Patricia Arquette, Dennis Hopper, Val Kilmer, Gary Oldman, Brad Pitt, Christopher Walken. And I've got this on DVD. One of the early Tarantino films. It's written by Quentin Tarantino, and very, very much a Tarantino film. And I love this at the cinema. Really good film, and I'm looking forward to watching this again quite soon. It's true romance. Typical Tarantino, but it's really fast-paced and slick and witty, and very underrated. This was released by Arrow last year. No, I won't do that. Arrow last year. There's a big boxed set edition of it, and I wanted the 4K, but that was about 30 quid, something like that. It's now $14.99 through Zavi. So I was going to pick that up, but again, it's a bog standard edition. You get the black disc and the disc with graphic on, but nothing else. That's fine. It's all about the film at the end of the day. The packaging's lovely, but it's the films we want. So there we are. That's a brief look at some of the stuff I've got hold of in the last week or so. Just a few odds and sods. Let me know if you've picked up any of those things lately, or if you've got any of those things, or if there's any things that you've collected that would be of interest. And I am going to be doing one of my sort of mongrel videos, if you like, where I talk about different things. That seemed to go down quite well. So I've got a couple of reviews to do and a couple of things to comment on. That'll be coming up the next week or so. And there will be coming up my video of my trip to Manchester, which I did last weekend, to see the crowd from Starburst magazine. I'm sort of editing that on the weekend. That will go up. So there'll be a couple of things in the next 2 days. Right, thank you for watching this video. If you've liked this video, why not do the decent thing? Press that like and subscribe button. Thumbs up. Leave a comment down below. Share to other people who might like stuff like this. Thank you for watching. Till I see you next time. Keep taking the stuff.